Did you know that foldable phones like the Samsung Z Fold have to pass rigorous tests, including being opened and closed over 200,000 times, just to ensure they can handle everyday use? 1. Introduction: Foldables enter a new era. The smartphone industry has undergone one of its most interesting transformations in the past decade. From massive camera arrays to edge-to-edge displays, the evolution has constantly surprised us. But perhaps the most radical shift has been the advent of foldable devices. When Samsung first introduced the Galaxy Fold series, many were skeptical about its long-term durability. Fast forward several generations, and foldables are no longer a novelty, they're becoming mainstream. Now, with increasing competition and innovation, a new form factor, the tri-fold design, is taking shape, promising even bigger screens and more versatility. In this definitive durability comparison, we see how the Samsung Z Fold stands up against the emerging tri-fold concept. This article investigates both devices through rigorous real-world and lab-style tests to answer one central question: which design is more durable in everyday life, accidental mishaps, and long-term usage, the tried-and-true Samsung Z Fold or the ambitious trifold form factor? 2. What is a foldable? A quick primer. Foldable smartphones are devices that use flexible displays and hinge mechanisms so that a large screen can fold into a more pocketable size. Samsung was among the first to bring this to mainstream, starting with inward folding devices like the Galaxy Fold and eventually refining designs through the Z Fold and Z Flip series. Unlike traditional phones with rigid glass, foldables require flexible substrates, special polymers, and highly engineered hinges. This complexity adds possibilities, like fully tablet-sized screens in a pocketable phone, but also new challenges, especially around durability. Trifold designs expand this concept by incorporating two hinges, allowing a long display to fold into three parts. The result is even larger screen real estate, but also two additional pivot points where things can go wrong. 3. Samsung Z Fold, evolution and proven design. The Samsung Z Fold has become the flagship standard for foldable devices. From the Z Fold 2's improved hinge design to the Armor aluminum frames seen in later models, Samsung has prioritized robustness. What sets the Z Fold apart is its inward folding mechanism, which protects the main display when the device is closed. The hinge creates a gentle curve, and with each generation, Samsung has improved the materials and reduced potential debris ingress. Through years of iterative engineering improvements, Samsung's approach has been one of cautious optimization, making the hinge stronger, adding better screen protection layers, and tightening tolerances to minimize stress during folding. 4. Trifold, the next frontier. Trifold smartphones take foldable engineering a step further. Instead of one hinge, there are two independently moving hinges. The idea is to offer a device that can be used more like a tablet but compactly stored like a phone. However, more hinges mean more potential points of failure. Each hinge introduces complexities in tolerances, stress distribution, alignment, and screen stability. Furthermore, keeping the display uniform where it bends twice, without creasing or stress marks, requires advanced materials science. Proponents of trifold believe this is the next logical step, but triumphs in innovation often come with trade-offs, especially in the early generations. 5. The importance of durability testing. Durability testing for foldable devices matters because these products are inherently mechanical. Unlike traditional slabs, foldables have moving parts, and moving parts wear out. Durability tests simulate real-world usage to measure how long a hinge lasts, how the display responds to repeated folding, and whether everyday stresses like pocket pressure or accidental drops lead to failure. We'll explore several testing categories. Hinge cycle testing: how many open/close cycles before degradation. Pressure and flex testing: how screen and body react to bending forces. Drop tests: impact resistance from everyday drops. Scratch and abrasion resistance. Moisture and dust ingress IP rating behavior in real conditions. By comparing the Samsung Z Fold's well-engineered system with a sample trifold device, we can draw conclusions about real-world longevity. 6. Hinge cycle testing: repeated folding over time. Foldable durability is measured in cycles, how many times you can open and close a device before performance issues arise. Samsung often advertises figures like 200,000 plus hinge cycles, roughly equivalent to several years of everyday use. In testing the Z Fold, the hinge mechanism remained smooth and consistent up to the advertised cycle count. No significant looseness occurred, and spring mechanisms showed minimal degradation. Small particles entered the hinge area after extended cycles, but Samsung's brush system mitigated most issues. In the trifold counterpart, the double hinge design showed earlier onset of stiffness in the secondary hinge. Alignment precision between panels drifted slightly after fewer cycles compared to the Z Fold, leading to minor screen warp at folding points. Screen tension differences caused more noticeable creasing along both fold lines. Early verdict: Samsung Z Fold's hinge system, refined over generations, handled repeated use more predictably than the newer trifold design, though future hardware refinements could narrow this gap. 7. Pressure and flex testing. How strong is the screen? Foldable displays are inherently more delicate than rigid glass screens. They rely on flexible polymer layers, which can be sensitive to pressure. In controlled lab tests, the Z Fold display began showing slight pixel inconsistencies at high pressure points near the fold, but only under force beyond typical smartphone use. The trifold display, with two fold lines, showed more deformation zones under the same external pressure, particularly near the secondary fold. During these tests, trifold systems also demonstrated slightly higher susceptibility to panel misalignment under pressure due to shorter spans of rigid support between hinges. Real-world implication: a phone being sat on or squeezed while in a pocket is more likely to stress a trifold's display than a single hinge foldable like the Samsung Z Fold. 8. Drop testing, surviving everyday accidents. Drop tests mimic real accidents: sliding off a table, falling from hand height, or hitting a corner. Z Fold results. When dropped on the face or back, hinges absorbed shock reasonably well thanks to reinforced frames. Slight scuffs and micro-dents occurred on corner impacts, but core functionality remained intact. Screen glass cover display cracked when dropped directly on hard surfaces without a case, highlighting the importance of protective accessories. Trifold results. Similar findings on face/back drops, though the extra hinge joints meant more points where panels could shift slightly. Corner impacts occasionally caused slight hinge misalignment, which didn't break functionality but reduced smoothness in folding action. Overall, both designs need case protection, but the Samsung Z Fold's single hinge had an edge in preserving alignment after repeated drops. 9. Scratch and abrasion resistance, everyday wear. Screen layers on foldable phones are not traditional glass. Even with ultra-thin glass UTG layers, the top protective sheet is still softer than Gorilla Glass found on standard phones. In controlled scratch tests, both Z Fold and trifold devices showed similar levels of resistance against everyday scratches: keys, coins. Sharp objects could still mar the surface more easily than standard glass phones. Case users experienced fewer scratches, and folding actions that prevented debris intrusion helped Z Fold maintain surface integrity. One notable point: the trifold's extended panel area statistically had more surface area at risk, meaning more potential for scratches across 3 sections than a 2-section foldable. 10. Water and dust resistance, hidden enemy of hinges. Ingress protection IP ratings are standard measures of a device's ability to resist water and dust. Samsung's recent foldables have achieved IP ratings, for example, IPX8 for water resistance. This means the device can survive submersion up to a certain depth. Trifold devices currently lag in water/dust ratings due to more complex hinge seals and greater potential entry points. Real-world effects. Z Fold devices survived brief splashes in light rain without issues. Trifold samples demonstrated no formal water resistance certification. Dust and fine particles were more likely to enter hinge crevices. This does not mean trifold devices fail in wet conditions, but they are generally more vulnerable without advanced sealing. 11. Thermal cycling, how heat affects folding mechanisms. Heat and cold can affect mechanical tolerances. Devices that expand or contract significantly under temperature change can experience stiffer hinges or micro cracks over time. Thermal testing shows Z Fold hinges maintained consistency across a wide temperature range, thanks to robust metal alloys and tested plastics. Trifold systems showed slightly more variation in hinge tension under extreme cold due to the added mechanical complexity. What this means for users is simple: a device that behaves consistently in both a cold car and a hot pocket is more reliable, and here the Samsung Z Fold's simpler mechanism gives it an edge. 12. Real-world user testimonials. Testing isn't just about machines, user experiences matter. Z Fold users have repeatedly noted, after months of use, little to no hinge play wobble develops. Creases are often barely noticed after time. With protective cases, screen issues are minimal. Trifold users, mostly early adopters and prototypes, report incredible screen real estate for multitasking. Noticeable fold lines where panels meet. A learning curve in carrying and handling due to size and weight. Comfort and care required to avoid unnecessary stress at fold points. These subjective impressions align with the mechanical findings. Trifolds offer more screen but demand more care. 13. Repairability and cost of ownership. Foldables are expensive to begin with, and repairs, especially screen or hinge repairs, can be costly. Samsung has worked toward making repairs more modular, allowing hinge and display replacement separately. However, screen replacement is still among the highest repair costs in smartphones. Trifold devices, with even more complex assemblies, currently present a bigger challenge for repair services, likely resulting in higher repair costs and longer turnaround times. 14. Long-term durability, predictions and trends. Based on current evidence and engineering fundamentals, Samsung Z Fold has the advantage of experience, refinements, and proven long-term behavior. Trifold devices demonstrate exciting possibilities but have inherent durability hurdles due to increased mechanical complexity. That's not to say trifolds won't become robust. Engineering tends to mature rapidly. However, for early adopters concerned about longevity, the Z Fold presents a safer bet, at least until trifold mechanisms undergo further refinement. 15. What this means for buyers. If you want practical durability, fewer long-term concerns, a refinement-ready experience, choose the Samsung Z Fold. If you want cutting-edge screen real estate, future form factor excitement, willingness to accept potential fragility, a trifold design might appeal, but proceed with awareness. 16. Looking ahead. Foldables and flexible displays are still in their evolutionary phase. Over the next few years, materials science advancements, such as self-healing polymers, reinforced hinge sealing, and better crease-less displays, may address current weaknesses. In the long run, trifold and even more complex multitasking form factors could become just as durable as today's best single-hinge foldables. For now, the Samsung Z Fold's durability performance stands as a benchmark. 17. Conclusion, which is more durable? In the matchup between Samsung Z Fold and trifold smartphones, the test results are clear. Durability winner current generation, Samsung Z Fold. It simply holds up better under repeated folds, pressure variations, water exposure, and drops. Its refined hinge, the result of several iterative design improvements, proves itself in real-world contexts. Innovation champion, Trifold. Trifold devices shock the market with ambitious design and expansive screen possibilities. But where innovation leads, durability challenges often follow. So, while trifolds may redefine what a smartphone can be, Samsung Z Fold remains the more durable choice today, especially for users prioritizing reliability and longevity. In comparison to other trifold models, the Z Fold offers a more polished experience, with a more intuitive interface and better performance. The device's durability is also on par with many of its competitors, making it a solid choice for those who want a reliable device. As someone who spent a lot of time with the Z Fold, I can attest to its durability and performance. In my testing, the device has performed admirably, with a robust construction that can withstand the rigors of daily use. I've also conducted some durability tests of my own, pushing the device to its limits to see how it would hold up. In daily use, the Z Fold has been a joy to use, offering a seamless experience that's hard to match. The device's durability has given me peace of mind, allowing me to focus on getting things done without worrying about my device. Overall, I give the Z Fold a solid rating for durability. It's a device that can withstand the rigors of daily use, with a robust construction and premium materials. If you're in the market for a device that can keep up with your busy lifestyle, the Z Fold is definitely worth considering. The Z Fold is perfect for heavy users who need a device that can keep up with their demands. It's also a great option for those who value durability and want a device that can withstand the bumps and bruises of daily use. If you've got any thoughts on the Z Fold or other foldable devices, be sure to share them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're interested in learning more about foldable technology, be sure to check out our next video, where we'll be diving deeper into the world of flexible displays.